Welcome to another episode of the WRPG, where I, DMJGR, lead a group of adventurers through crazy capers, dastardly dungeons, exciting encounters, and do you know what? I think I'll just stop there. You're here to listen to the show, not a long-winded intro. So, without further delay, please enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the second episode of Wreckage RPG with me, the DM JGR, and these four adventurers as we crack on through the world of Uri in search of a sheep called Jeremy. And well, if you have no idea why this group of adventurers is searching for a sheep called Jeremy, well, you better want to check out episode 1 and find out all the antics that went on in that. So, a couple of things first. I'm going to say thank you to Syrinscape for letting me use their wonderful free app. The little bits of sound bites are a great addition to the whole atmosphere. So thank you for that. And also, this is a game of the Fantasy Age RPG, not D&D. So a big shout out to Green Ronin for making a pretty awesome system for us to use. So, without further ado, I think we are ready to jump straight back in to the world of Uri. Are we good to go, folks?
Born ready.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit tired after trekking through the evening
In the rain.
after this bloody sheep. Sodden,
Wet.
chasing this orc down.
Right, cool. Well, let's begin. So, it was a cold, wet winter's evening when our group met in the Dandy Owl. Beer was starting to flow, the stew was on the dark wooden tables, and conversation was starting to build. Some of our adventurers, Mac, Tink and Galen, were meeting for their second time, after having worked together a couple of months back on a small job further north in the Aurum coast. This evening, though, they were joined by a rather odd elf, called Gillis, who seemed to associate the group with some sort of strange vision he had recently been plagued by. However, the pleasantries were rudely interrupted by a band of raiders, presumably from the Iceborne Isles to the east. Our group managed to valiantly fight back against the raiders, killing one of their number, called Nut. He did seem to be the only one who was intent on bashing some skulls, as the dent in Tink's armour shows. You know, what did the raiders actually steal that evening? It seemed to be mostly food and horses in the stables, but a quick look around the bar showed that they had also taken Jeremy the sheep. Jeremy was Mac's recently obtained loyal companion, and he will stop at nothing to get him back. The group set out to follow these raiders, using some of Gallus's blood magic. They now know that the group headed northwest towards Tosca. Tosca is within the rolling hills, further inland of the coast, a land of lavish farms and pastures. As the group arrived, there was a commotion in the small collection of buildings at the heart of the scattered farms. People were complaining of disturbances in the night, and that their sheep had gone missing. Upon hearing this, Mac rushed forward into the gathering, also exclaiming about his lost sheep. The man on the box, the one with the fancy leathers and polished shoulder pad, the one with an air of responsibility around him, sort of just shrugs, rolls his eyes, looks at the newcomers, and says, "Someone's stolen your sheep? I do not know of an orc farmer in these parts. Who the hell are you?"
I'm Mac, and my sheep is Jeremy, and he was stolen last night. I cannot believe it. We should raise an army, and we should go and take our sheep back.
And as you say this, sort of a couple of the farmers goes, Yes, the guard should come and help us with our sheep problems. How many of your sheep did he take?
One. But he was a very good sheep.
You're a farmer with one sheep.
Yeah, well, I'm not a farmer. I am a mercenary with one sheep, yes. And he was stolen, and he is a very good sheep, and I'm going to get him back.
And so the farmer looks at you and goes, "Well, Theo, I agree with this man here. We should go and get our sheep back."
Yeah.
So turns, and sort of like there's this sort of cheering from the crowd, and sort of Theo just sort of like looks back at you, and just to remind you, sort of a man, sort of he's in his late 40s, a little bit of grey hair, sort of coming through his dark, well-kept hair. He's sort of got a few scars on his cheek as you sort of observe him a little bit closer. As he sort of like looks at this group, he goes, Okay, look, calm down, calm down. I know this has been going on for a week or so, but they are only taking small numbers of sheep. We currently do not have the numbers of guards to go and search for these raiders. We have no idea where they are. Do any of you have any idea where they are? And sort of like the crowd sort of murmurs and... no. Goes, well, precisely my problem. And then sort of a couple of other farmers start shouting up again, "Ah, but they knocked down my fence!"
And they took my friend's coat.
It was a shipment of coats.
And all we know so far, this is just one sheep, and it starts with a sheep, and then it's a cow, and then it's your wife and your children, and then it's everybody you care about in the rest of the world. We need to do something about this now.
Okay, roll a persuasion check.
Is that under communication? Sorry.
So it's communication persuasion.
15.
Nice.
15. Nice, good roll. So, sort of at this point, you realise that your words have sort of brought some sort of fervour into the group of farmers, and they're sort of starting to raise their voices and shout, and pitchforks are going up in the air, and, you know, they're really shouting, and Theo just sort of, like, looks at you, and, like, looks at you as newcomers, and just sort of, like, you can just see his whole body just exhale with air as he just sort of sighs, and you can sort of see this sort of... He's overcome by, oh no, not again. And he sort of, like, looks up, and he sort of composes himself for a moment, and he goes, Look. The last thing we need is farmers throwing away their lives. I will speak to these newcomers. They maybe look like they can handle themselves. You folks just hang about here, and maybe we can find out a little bit about what's gone on. And he sort of, like... And you sort of see at this moment that he takes control of the crowd, and, like, they're further sort of there, and they're sort of looking intently and expectantly at what's about to happen next, and he sort of steps off the box and brings himself down to your level, and walks over, and he goes, come with me, just away from the rabble a moment, please.
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah, I guess we all do.
Yeah, happy with that.
So he sort of takes you over to sort of one side, just next to one of the large buildings, and he sort of turns himself to you and goes, I don't think we've been properly introduced. I am Theo Lucresca. I am leader of the guards here in Tosca. We are not the most well-equipped, and, well, we deal with these raiders all the time, and I'm just thankful that these raiders don't seem to be killing anybody.
Yet.
That is true, yet, but they've been here for 2 weeks, and we haven't had a single death. Sheep's gone missing, grain's been taken, but our stocks are more than high enough for the winter months coming, because, you know, we have so many farms
You
out
mentioned
here.
that they've been here for 2 weeks, yet you only started seeing the sheep disappear after a week. When did you know of their presence within the Isles? And how do you know of this information?
Well, because people were complaining about grain going missing, things being trampled. We heard of some shipments going missing on the North Road to Orgrin as well. But there's the strange thing that just keeps nagging me is that the usual death that comes with these raiders is just not there.
Might I surmise a
which
theory,
is why...
my good sir?
Yes, theory.
If there
go
are
for
no
it.
killings, and only grain and sheep have disappeared, could it be that these raiders require sustenance rather than their usual bloodlust?
It may well be the case.
I think
But it's
these are
very
just
strange.
smarter
They
raiders
never do
because
this.
this is repeat business for them. If they kill anyone, who's going to farm the fields to get the corn for them to steal?
Correct.
They clearly got an eye for
They're kind of
fashion. They've
farming
stolen
your
all of
village.
your coats as well, haven't they, Tink?
Yes, a minor inconvenience, to be sure.
But it's business. I know how important money is to you traders. And he sort of like just sort of has his thinking moment. He goes, the one thing we're not short of here in Tosca is a little bit of money. You know, we are a wealthy district of farmers. Our lands are very fertile. And I'm sure that the guard would be able to supply you with some funds if you were to actually find out what's going on here. I mean, I'm not going to divert my resources just yet until killing start. That's when we normally step in. I don't know if you know how our militias work in this area, but we're sort of all just local people getting by, and we're not an organised army as such, so we only fight if we must, rather than going in search of it. I mean, we have mercenaries, people who enjoy a fight, to go and do that for us. So I am guessing by the fact you are here, you have an interest in this whole case with your sheep being missing, and maybe a little bit of money might help the rest of you get involved as well.
Perhaps they could get sheep too. Then we could all have sheep, and Jeremy would have friends when we get back.
Look, Mac, we'll find Jeremy. I really don't need to be dealing with another incumbent right now. We'll be all right. We'll get your Jeremy back, and we'll get these people their sheep back. But you mentioned money. Like, how much are you willing to pay for this inconvenience to be resolved?
Pay the usual rate for mercenaries. It's about 10 silver a day.
It's better than nothing. And free food and board?
He sort of like gestures round you and sort of goes, well, you'll find a lot of farm that you can go and sleep in. If you're talking about free board being out in the open, then go for it. Some of the farmers might put you up, but there's no inn to speak of here.
How many sheep
Okay, so Gillis, aware of his visions. Sorry, yeah, aware of my visions whenever I sleep outdoors currently. I'm just going to be like, yeah, reluctant to sleep outdoors.
Do we know how many of the sheep are missing currently?
And he sort of like looks around and goes, well, the sheep has only been sort of a recent thing. The person who seems to be struggling an awful lot with it is Fergal. Fergal Ramsbottom.
Fergal Ramsbottom.
Brilliant.
And why does he seem to be struggling with this?
Well, he's got a name like that.
Well, he has one of the farms far on the side, and they seem to be sort of coming in from that side, I guess. But yes, he owns one of the outer farms. The other farm that's been hit was Olivian's farm. His grain farm got hit not that long ago. But yes.
Did anyone see where they went?
No, most of these things have happened at night. And, well, we have a very large area of land to sort of move about, and despite us having a few volunteers out at night, nobody's seen anything.
Might we inquire who these volunteers are?
They're just sort of other members of the militia. Some of the farmers have uniforms and such, but it tends to be sort of the sons of the farmers, people who work on the fields, just volunteers who just join in for defence of this area. It's how it kind of works in the Orem coast. We sort of all have to fend for ourselves a little bit.
Very well.
And he sort of like, he looks a bit grumpy at this point, and he goes, because that coin master won't give us any of those blooming soldiers, but anyway, never mind.
But he would do if someone died, right? If this became a more mortal affair.
Well, if it became a more mortal affair,
I can kill someone for you.
And he sort of chuckles and sort of goes, well, that's not quite how it works. It just means we'd get a little bit more money for mercenaries, because that's how this world works. I mean, the coin master's guard don't come up into the northern Orem coast. They're too busy building the railway and helping out defend the lands to the south. Far richer than these up here in the north.
Okay, can I just confer with my colleagues a moment? In private.
He goes, yes, sure, and he sort of makes his way, he sort of turns and you sort of see the clamour of farmers, and they sort of go, Theo, and another thing, this, and sort of you can just see him sort of just like, oh, here we go again, and he sort of walks back towards the farmers, and you can sort of start to see him sort of conversing with them to try and sort out whatever argument it might be that's been sort of brought up this time.
Okay, so I'm going to speak to the guys and say, like, So I lean in close so no one hears with my sort of Corvidian headdress.
We can't get in too
And,
close, otherwise I'll stab myself in the eye with one of your feathers.
Yes. Yeah, get Rasmused as a verb. So I'm going to just raise the idea that these people are idiots. They're just letting themselves get raided continuously. And yes, they haven't got much defense, but there's nothing to stop us just taking whatever we like. And then maybe just cash in on the search for Jeremy. Maybe we can have a lot of fun here for the next few days and just, it's the raiders. Anyone else?
Jeremy will be getting further away from us.
And I get no closer to my shipment of coats that went missing.
It was just an idea.
Once we find Jeremy, we can steal as much as you like.
That's not really stealing, it's liberating. They're idiots. They can't even look after their own stuff. I'll look after it much
But we
better
have a
than they
duty
can.
of care to these people, come on. I have a duty of care to these people.
As an automaton, I have no duty of care.
Of course
However,
you don't, Tink. You just love your coats.
I do need to find these coats.
Okay. We'll talk about it again after we find Jeremy and the coats. But
What happens if we find these people and they look really good in your coats, Tink? Like they are like rocking them like today's fashion or future fashion that you hadn't even conceived. They've got like loads of accessories all over the coats. They've really done a number
Anyone
to like
would look
elevate
good in
your
my
fashion
finery.
to the next level.
Anyone would look good in my finery, even Gillis here. However, it is more the principle of the matter. They were not for these people. They were for my clients.
Yeah. I like your stoic nature for your business. It's good. I think, yeah. Okay, maybe I overstepped a little bit with the let's raid and pillage the village. We're trying to help.
Pillage the village.
Yeah. But just want you guys to know that if you ever want to do that, I'm on board. I'm in.
I think our goal here needs to be finding Jeremy for Mac.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Mac agrees.
And Tink at this point leans in close to Galen. Couldn't we just give him any one of these other sheep?
We don't know if he won't just realise that it's one of these other sheep. We've just gotta entertain it for now. He needs to believe that this is Jeremy.
Very well.
Out of character, I was just thinking I could pretend that my blood mark's on another sheep and go, look, it's this one, Mac. I found him. But I'm not that horrible to Mac.
You never know. He's probably like orcs probably soul bond with sheep, and like they can look directly into their eyes and have this like intimate relationship that no one else understands.
Yeah, does Jeremy have any particular markings that you'd recognise him by, Matt?
White and fluffy.
It's where he lifts up his tail and says, "Yep."
Oh, that's mine.
Yes,
Shake it, Jeremy.
he would know Jeremy.
He would definitely know Jeremy. Okay, cool.
There are certain stains
okay.
in certain places.
You're near Jeremy with like a black
So I
light.
believe we need to start with either visiting Fergal or Olivian and finding out where these missing items have been taken.
Agreed.
New friend, Gallus. You're tracking. Can you still track Jeremy?
Nothing's coming up. I've not sustained my spell for the extra. Basically, I'm out of magic points if I sustain it past when we lost him.
So if we get close, you won't know.
No, it's too late now. Once this connection's broken, it's essentially broken for good. Unless I can come back in contact with him and reset the blood mark.
Right. Let us
Sorry, Mac.
investigate. We will use our minds then, not magic.
So I think we need to inform this.
So,
well, I
what
think
would
we
you
need to
like to
inform
do?
this guy. We'll take him up on his offer of 10 silver per adventurer.
Okay.
Per
So
day.
you turn back to look at him, and he's there, and he's like, no, look, Reggie. He will give you the cow back, okay? Look, it's a mistake. He will give it back. Okay, is that okay? And the guy's like, all right, fine, that'll do, and sort of walks off happy, and sort of like, he just sort of like turns back to you and goes, are you done having your chats? How did it all go?
Yeah, I think we're on board. 10 silver a day, you said.
Yes, 10 silver a day.
And what's the is there a maximum amount of days we're allowed to charge to your
Well,
yes.
what we'll do is we'll probably, let's have a look. It's in the area, data search. We'll maybe pay initially for 3 days worth of work, so 30 silver, and then we'll see if there's any further employment beyond that point.
Okay.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, if that's the going rate for mercenary work, then yeah. Can't argue with that.
Good. Let's go find Jeremy.
Okay, so he sort of like, at this moment he goes, well, as I said, the two places to check. There's Fergals farm, which is far on to the northeast of sort of Toscan area, and then you've got Olivian's farm, who's actually just a couple along from Fergals. They're both sort of in the same area in the northeast. Fergal lost the sheep, and Olivian's grain went missing.
It would make the most sense to start our investigations there.
And he sort of like looks at you and goes, best of luck to you. I've got to sort of finalise this cow heist problem that I've got going on. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. And he sort of turns back and goes back into the sort of fray of all the farmers and their daily problems.
Do you think we need a map of the area? Just thinking. It might give us more indication of where they are.
Good idea, Tink. Maybe you should check in with this chap, see if he can draw something out on one of your fineries, so we can head off in the right direction.
Yeah. So, who you asking for a map?
No, I was thinking out of character there. Sorry, I was discussing with the group
right.
rather than being in character at that point.
Sorry. I will retract my comment. Okay, so what would you like to do?
I guess we go northeast, right? We go to these guys' farms, because if they're hitting the northeast, then clearly they're coming from that direction.
Yeah, I mean, if Fergal's lost sheep and we're looking for sheep, maybe there's more common ground to maybe just keep Mac a bit calmer.
Yeah, I think we need to go to the sheep, the source of the sheep.
Mr. Ramsbottom.
Let's do it. Let's go there.
Okay. So, it takes you sort of a little bit of time to meander through all the different pathways up towards Fergal's farm. As you do so, you're sort of taking in the surrounding hills. This is actually a really beautiful place. It's sort of calm, green, sort of the pastures are, whilst it's sort of winter is on its way and like there's not any crops growing, there's still like a real lush greenness around, like there's grass coming out as the sort of the non-ploughed fields are sort of just being left to sort of regrow a little bit before the next planting of seed in the spring. And you sort of see other areas of luscious green where there's sort of sheep and cows and various others, and you see cargo carriages moving forwards and backs with horse-drawn carriages. Sort of various resources are just being moved around, and it's all very spread out and quite relaxing and calming. And you sort of come up towards the edge of the farms, and you sort of notice that the hills sort of become a little less cultivated as they sort of stretch out towards the northeast. And you do see this one building sort of right near the edge, this grey stone sort of collection of cobbles and bits and pieces. It looks like a rather eclectic mix of little huts. And on top of this hill, you sort of see a couple of storage containers. You see sort of a few sheds to one side, and you see a number of sheep just dotted around in the field. And sort of you surmise that you sort of have a little look around and you can't see any other sheep farms in the area. And you sort of assume that this might be the farm that you're after. It's the one on the furthest edge of the northeast part of Tosca.
As we've been walking, Mac has been eyeing Gallus's feathered cowl or cloak, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And if there was a moment, he might have tried to pluck one of the feathers from it.
Okay. So as you're sort of like walking up towards the farm on your final little stretch, you've sort of been eyeing this up for a while. There's a moment where Gallus just like seems to be a little bit lost in the rolling hills. Roll a dexterity stealth check.
Does it make any difference that I have a focus in stealth?
Yes, that adds +2 to your roll.
Ooh,
5.
So that's I rolled 13 plus 15, 17.
Oh, nice.
17, nice roll. And let's say, Gallus, can you roll just a flat perception check, please?
Isn't it Gillis?
Sorry, Gillis, not Gallus. Gillis.
What you talking about, Gillis?
Using my rolling app, I got 16.
16. So that means that Mac wins. So he manages to pluck a feather from your cloak.
Yeah, that's okay. The whole thing's quite dishevelled, just sort of similar to the rest of me anyway. It's not something I would notice.
As he walks, I'm just going to try throwing it and see if I can get it to turn into a bird thing.
Okay, roll an accuracy check.
I like to imagine that he's so dishevelled that actually everywhere he walks there's just feathers falling off it anyway. Just leave a trail behind it.
16.
16. Okay, so as you're sort of like rolling along, sort of walking along, you sort of like pass this feather through your hands, and you sort of like you spy a rock on top of a little wall that's next to you, and you sort of take the feather and you throw it towards the rock, and like it just seems to, you just throw it in a way rather like, if you're throwing a card through the air or something, you just got it just right, so this sort of the point hits the rock, and the rock wobbles ever so slightly as you hit it. It doesn't fall off, but this feather goes and sort of like the rock wobbles.
I'll go and pick up the feather, and I'll subtly try and put it back into the cowl.
Is this a normal rock?
Mac's not a thief.
Is this someone disguised as a rock?
No.
Such a never-ending story.
So, as you sort of like try and put it back in, at this moment, I think roll a stealth check for putting it back into the cowl.
Ooh, that was not as good. 9, 10, 11, 12, 14.
That's still pretty. That's a good roll. So you're sort of there. You're sort of just like walking slightly behind him, sort of just like trying to put this feather back onto the coat. Nobody else really notices what you're doing at this point. It doesn't really stay in, but you sort of eventually get it wedged into the cloak itself. As you do so, Gillis, roll another perception check.
Okay. 10.
10? No, you don't feel anything. So there's just this feather. So as you sort of like, you step back from your handiwork, there's just like this feather in a slightly jaunty angle. Like there's these other feathers. Like whilst his sort of cowl is like quite sort of disjointed here and there, there's just this one feather that's pointing completely the wrong way as you sort of manage to jam it back in.
Alright, I think Mac is happy with his experimentation, and he's gonna...
He's no wizard.
Okay, so you continue to make your way up towards the farm. As you do so, actually, there's you hear the sound of hooves behind you, and on you sort of turn around and there is a horse making its way up the path towards you. There's this sort of man sat on it with this big sort of straw hat on his head and sort of slightly raggy clothes, riding up towards the same building you are. And as he comes up to you, he goes, "Hello? Who are you?"
I'm Mac. Who are you?
"I'm Fergal. Nice to meet you, Mac."
No, Fergal. Did you lose sheep last night?
Oh, you did lose sheep.
I lost a
Yes.
sheep too. I'm
You
going to go
lost
and give
sheep
him a
too.
big
Oh.
hug.
And he gives
To
you,
console
he
him.
sort of like, as you try and go and give him a hug, like you're hugging his horse and his sort of leg, and he's sort of like, oh, there, no, it's fine. You'll join the Lost Sheep Club. Did you meet my brother Fergal? He was down in town just now. He's also lost some sheep.
I thought you were Fergal.
I am Fergal. He's my brother Fergal.
Actually, Mac, that's too much for Mac. I think he's just gonna.
Just glazes over.
Yeah.
Put a reboot in visually.
Because but it's fine.
Sorry.
Because Fergal, you see, he works on my farm. So
Yeah.
this is Fergal and Fergal. It's our farm. Fergals, we call it.
Oh. Right.
See, it's clever because it's like Fergals, but if you put an apostrophe in it in the right place,
What's nostrophy?
it's like a little thingy. That's never mind. It's fine. It's yeah. I
Oh.
learnt about it in school once.
Ah, orcs have
I sort of
schools
look
too.
around thinking, school? Okay.
We learn lots. Not about apostrophes, but we learn a good thing. But I lost Jeremy. How many sheep did you lose?
How many sheep? Oh well,
I don't believe you can
we lost
count
a
that
few
high.
sheep. Well, and he sort of like sighs really. I did lose Daisy the sheep. She was my favourite sheep, and like, you know, I did lose a few other sheep, but they took my Daisy.
He's going to lean in close to him. Don't you worry. We're going to find who took these sheep, and I will rip their heads off and spit down their throats.
And he goes, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea, that is. So, I tell you what, I'll show you where those little ragamuffins took my sheep from, yeah?
Let us go.
Come.
Come,
He sort of
Gren.
like starts riding his horse out towards sort of just to the side of his buildings, and takes you across a field, and you sort of see there's a little area where there's a very, very makeshift barrier that's sort of just been erected by sort of an older wooden wall that's sort of been completely destroyed, and there's like a lot of footfall and mud, and like obviously the rain of the last few days, it's quite churned around this area. As you're moving along here, I would like you to make a perception check. Tracking. All of you can do this.
Oh, sweet Jesus. It's 12, 15,
11.
16. And I got double
16,
double
nice.
sixes.
Nice. You can use an exploration stunt as well if you like.
That sounds like the best stunt in the world to use right now. Let's do that.
So, have you got the list of stunts?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, awesome. So you have a quick look through those. What else did other people?
9.
11.
11.
10.
10. Okay, cool. So, as you're sort of all like looking around, you do notice there's a moment where sort of Galen just like sort of starts looking over just to sort of like your right hand side, and what you pick up on, Galen, is you see that within the field that you're in, which is mostly pasture land because this is he's a sheep farmer, you notice that there is a patch of more heavily trodden ground than the rest of the field. Like there's just this patch through the middle, sort of almost coming from the road further back, but it just goes straight across, and it's going straight to where you are actually heading to.
What are you going to do with that information, Galen?
So I'm gonna try and do my exploration stunt. I'm gonna try and do that makes me wonder.
Okay.
So I may immediately make another perception check at no additional cost of time or resources to discover more information about the surroundings. I have to use a different focus, but I wasn't focusing on the first one. Oh, that's not good. I've rolled 5. So
So you are
can't
like
wonder
you've
anything
got like
else.
this you've got this moment of pride to you about the fact that you've spotted this sort of just like area of ground, and like you do like have a quick look around, but you're like secretly so proud that you found something that you're like, yeah, I found this.
Cool.
Shocked.
Guys, it seems like the ground over in that direction has been more trodden than the earth around here. Maybe we should explore over there.
That is a reasonable summation.
Came up for that.
Yeah, Mac will follow.
Okay, so you sort of make your way over to the patch of ground that you're sort of looking at, and it's sort of like a long stretch, and you sort of like look up to the left, and it leads up to where the break in the fence is, so it's sort of been makeshiftly repaired, and then you look to the right, and it sort of leads off towards the road from which you've just walked up. So there's sort of like this part that you're just sort of like, well, they've clearly come along here, and as you look down onto this, you don't have to roll for this one, but like you look down because you spotted this the previous night. It looks very, very similar to the heavy footfall of all the horses that sort of was very, very similar to outside the Dandy Owl.
It would make sense to track these
Okay, would that be...
back to their source.
Yeah, how difficult would that be to track? I mean, I'm not personally a good tracker, but I've got a little bit of natural lore. That's about it, really. Anyone else good at tracking?
I'm a tailor and not built for tracking.
Yeah.
I am not that good at finding things.
As evidenced by your lack of sheep.
Ooh, burn, Tink, burn.
Sick burn from the Orient.
Yeah.
Well, be it that you have some advanced sensors, Tink, surely you can muster something up out of your tin can head of yours.
And he kind of gives you a look like if he had like eyelids, they'd be sort of like, you know, thinly kind of giving you like the side eye from that comment. No, I don't think he is. He's not built for that. He's built for dressmaking and clothes making. He was once a weapon of war, however, no longer.
And sort of like at this moment, like Fergal sat behind you, goes, "So what's so interesting about the ground?
There's mud.
Mud? Oh, I never thought there'd be mud down there. You're a clever one, aren't you?"
I am.
For an orc.
That's
Cleverest
why
orc
I
you've
was
ever
chief.
Go on, I'll try and
You're
examine the tracks, see if I can figure out which direction they're going.
Okay, roll a perception check. Tracking.
Got none of that. 13, 14.
Yeah, so you quite easily look around, like the heavy rain has made it so the mud is quite impressionable, and you can sort of see the little puddles of water sort of showing that the hooves are definitely going towards the fence.
I think we should head in this direction, points towards the fence. But before we do that, would it be worthwhile us investigating the Olivian residence to understand a bit more about the complete picture of this situation?
I don't
know, it's one rainstorm away from losing the tracks. Do you want to risk it? What's the weather like
agree.
currently?
Gillis speaks sense.
Yes, I think we should go after the sheep as quickly as possible.
I think you should do that too, chimes Fergal.
My good man, and Tink kind of addresses Fergal here. Would you have any spare equine transport for myself and my compatriots?
Would I have any spare? What's an equine?
Oh, forgive me. The horse. Do you have more horses?
Horse? Ah, I do have an horse. I'm sat on it.
And Tink kind of leans to Galen and Gillis. You see, with the lower intelligence spectrum, we need to dumb down our language.
I'm not a great fan of horses anyway. I think I've dodged a arrow with that one.
Do you want my horse?
No, it's okay, sir. You can keep your horse. Look across at Tink and just say, there is no way 4 of us are getting on a single horse.
Very well, then we shall proceed on foot.
I don't think that horse can carry
Right.
Mac alone. He's the biggest orc I've ever seen.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll show you this fence, because I'm quite proud of the job I've done. And sort of like, he sort of starts like riding his horse off towards the broken fence. And as he's doing, he's going, oh yeah, it was really hard, because I used the wood, and like I had to mash it into the ground. And he sort of like regales you for the 5 minutes it takes you to walk up to this fence, about intricate fence putting up. And, you know, he's absolutely lost.
You mean joinery?
Yes, is joinery.
Fencing,
Fencing, joinery. That's what it
Is
is.
fencing putting
Yeah,
up in it?
I'm in his
Character.
mode at the moment, so you know.
Apparently he knows
Vocabulary.
loads about apostrophes, but fence joinery,
does.
like he just doesn't know that. Like the one thing he's remembered from school is where to put his
Grammar's
apostrophe.
smashing, but not the word for putting
They're
them
very
together.
specific about what they learn. So he gets up towards the hey, oi. Well, here it is, my broken fence.
I'm a grammar Nazi with no words.
This fence is broken.
That it is. Well, this fence is fixed, because I fixed that bit.
Might I inquire what broke the fence?
Well, I don't know. You're the investigators. I assume it might be the people who stole my sheep.
Could the sheep not have broke the fence and just wandered off?
Nah,
Is
my
it theft
Daisy
if
would
they've
never
broken it?
wander
It does
off.
not
explain
This
the
man,
hoof
would
prints.
your sheep ever wander off from you, sir?
No, he would not. He
See,
was a good
Daisy-
sheep.
Daisy would not do the same thing to me.
So it's at
So-
this point, as we've gone over, he's been on the back of his horse, right?
Yeah.
The hoof prints that have been left from his horse travelling, do they match the same sort of hoof prints that we've been seeing?
roll a perception check.
Is
Just,
Galen well
yeah.
versed in the art of horseshoe?
We'll go for a perception check.
I've got 10.
Well, they're both horses.
Brilliant.
Okay, fine.
They're definitely horse hoof prints.
I believe we've exhausted all avenues of investigation here, gentlemen. I believe we should follow these tracks back to their source. That is the most likely outcome.
I agree. If they take us back to his farm, though, I'm killing him.
Very well. You're at your liberty.
Okay, so as you sort of like look out towards sort of the rolling hills, what you do see in the distance is you see that there is a woodland. It's quite a large woodland with some quite sort of rocky outcrops in the centre of it, sort of to one side. It's a little way from Tosca. It doesn't look like there's anybody who sort of lives near it or is around it. And as you sort of like look out to it, it seems to be the only source of any form of cover in the vicinity. As you sort of like look out, there's sort of these rolling hills that just have nothing on them. Apart from the odd copse here and there. But right in the centre of your vision, there is this large wooden area with, like, as I said, these rocky sort of spires coming out of it. And sort of Fergal sees you looking sort of at this scene, and he goes, "Well, I'll tell you what we've got round here. So over there in the far north, that's towards Ravensgrad, over there. So just in between here and there is the Winterberry Vineyards. Lots of wine making, cordial making. They love their fruits over there. And well, over that way, behind that big thing you see in front of you with the rocky outcrops, the rocky forest over there, behind that is Orgrin. I really don't know where they would have gone around here, but best of luck to you. And I tell you what, if you bring my Daisy back to you, back to me even, not back to you, if you bring Daisy back to me, I'll see if I can sort you out something."
That is very kind.
What do you mean by something?
Well, I gotta
Please do not
think
give us
about
another
what I'm
sheep.
gonna give you first, but, I want to give you something, but I gotta wrap my brain as to what it is.
Ooh, a nice stew.
Oh, I can make a good stew. I could do a stew. I'll make you a stew. You'll have a stew on me.
I look forward to it. We will return with your sheep.
Oi, thank you very much. I very much look forward to it.
Just to be clear, Fergal, the stew isn't on you, right? I mean, that's not something you guys do around here, is it?
Oh
Stew
no!
off a
Oh
naked
no,
farmer.
sir! No, sir! No! No! No!
Yeah.
No! 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 No!
That's okay then.
No! No! My wife
Be
might
clear.
know.
Oof. No, thanks. I'm good for that, Fergal. The stew sounds fine. Now let's go get this
Is
sheep.
his wife named Fergal?
No, my wife is not called Fergal, actually.
Fergus.
Well, how did you know?
Wild guess.
I think we should track those.
Could she also be your sister?
We should follow those hoof prints. If they go into the
Well, that would be telling, good sir.
forest, I think heading to the forest. That's where the tracks are going, right?
Yeah,
There's sort of
apologise,
like
guys.
in that direction, like there's as you sort of survey this, like you don't need to be a master tracker to sort of see that there's these tracks in front of you, and they are just heading back towards the northeast, towards sort of this area of woodland and rocky outcrops and outcrops. What am I saying? Outcrops. For a couple of you who have travelled to Ogrin recently, you do know of this area. And it's an area not frequented at all by local people. The woodland is too close to the coast on one side, so to actually try and sort of set up here would just be asking for trouble when it comes to the raiders. It's also the terrain within this woodland. It's not like a flat wood that you could sort of cultivate down. It's very rocky. There's these sort of strange sort of spires that sort of just erupt out the ground of rock. It is known as the Slate Peak Forest.
Okay. If I was going to hide, that's where I'd be. How wide are these tracks, by the way?
So they're probably, to start with, they're quite wide. There's like around where the fence is
Don't
broken.
Toscan raiders travel single file to hide their numbers?
However, as you sort of look to the distance, sort of as they seem to get further away, they do seem to narrow.
Is that just perspective?
It might be.
That's called perspective.
Third dimension.
I reckon we should. I mean, Tink reckons we should follow them. I think.
I agree with you,
I
Tink.
apologise, guys. I keep going on mute because I've got to keep blowing my nose because allergies are smashing me today.
Nice bit of
You
insight.
call
for
them
the listeners
allergies,
there.
I call it COVID, you know.
Yeah, nobody knows with COVID.
No.
Well, my allergies might be covering it up.
So.
What if I think I've not got COVID because I've got... Anyway, back on track.
Yeah. Let's go, Tink. I think
yeah.
that's a good idea. We need to source Jeremy as it's been too long without Jeremy, and Mac seems to be, distraught by the fact that he has been separated from Jeremy for so long.
Do you detect elevated levels of tension within Mac?
He might just need to fart.
Yeah.
So as you sort of make your way off following
Biggest fart
these
you've ever
tracks,
seen.
you look behind you, and Fergal's just waving his hands at you, just like as you make your way away from his farm. And again, you're sort of once more you're consumed by this beautiful countryside, and it takes you a good sort of 4 to 6 hours to get to the Slate Peak Forest. And as you're sort of getting there, you arrived in Tosca in early morning, and now the sun is sort of at its highest point in the sky. With it being so close to winter now, it's actually quite low and sort of like it's warm, but like there's also like that cool coastal breeze that starts to hit you the closer you get to the forest. You're following these tracks very easily, like they're almost not trying to hide the tracks. And when you start to get near to the forest itself, the ground becomes a little bit more stone-like, and there's areas where it becomes a little bit more difficult to track because there'll be muddy hoof prints, and then there'll just be a large slab of just opened rock. And then to start with, you can sort of start to pick up things. What we're going to start now is we're going to start what's known as an advanced test.
Ooh.
Okay, so the way this works is you are going to do a series of tests, You are obviously tracking these individuals, so all of your tests are going to be related to tracking them. What you're essentially going to do is you're going to come up with ways of tracking them. It can be as inventive as you like, using any focus as long as you can justify it. What I will then do is I'll adjust the difficulty for whatever you are doing. You roll. If you succeed, the amount by which you succeed, which you won't know how much that is because I'm not going to tell you, gets added to a pot, and then you keep going around doing tests, and then you either will fail the test, it will take too long, etc., or things might happen. So basically, there is an overall value of that you need to beat, and when you succeed, numbers get added to that to basically help you succeed.
Gil, can't you like summon some sort of like sentient crow to be like an iron like a UAV?
The great Lord Rook has not given me any sort of power like that. It's almost blasphemous to take control of his animals. When I cast my
Well, not take
sort
control.
of
Can you not
crow-looking
like?
spell, it's not really a...
Can you not commune with them?
No. No, my powers are pretty basic without the reagents to make them more powerful, and I think the reagents would probably turn your stomach.
Sort of.
I mean, it sounds like he can just animate feathers. He should have just been like a cleaner or something. That's about it.
No, when he does his mana blast, the feather itself
Feather
doesn't
duster.
come out of his cloak. It
That's
just
about it.
appears like it.
Okay.
Okay, so you're at the edge of this sort of rocky outcrop. So the rocky outcrop. What am I saying? I'll get that.
So like
one
West
eventually.
Coast,
Encroach. Get out, Fergal. Go away. Right. So so in front of you, like you're not at the forest yet. Sort of the forest is a little bit in front of you. You're currently at this area where there's sort of mud, rock, then rock. What would you folks like to do? So as I said, it's sort of going to be one person doing a test. Each test is going to relate to about an hour's worth of time. So you're sort of going to do what that is for about an hour.
We need like elevation, I think. Height is going to be the most useful thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at climbing trees.
So what you're saying is we should get on top of Mac and then see how high we can stack ourselves.
I guess Mac and I are the tallest, right?
Lemming.
How high are you, Lee?
6'8".
Oh, that's quite
Tink's
tall.
a
I
big
thought
lad.
you were only like
No.
I thought you were like 4'9".
Go gadget legs.
No, he's big old. He's tall and thin. He's like proper lanky.
Oh, okay.
Got an image of a robotic Peter Crouch.
No, I think like K2SO kind of height. Not built quite the same, but like it's that kind of.
So are you gonna look for some high ground to start with?
Yeah,
It seems like Tink's got a good idea there.
I think that's our best
Okay.
bet.
So Tink, you can roll up first.
Uh-oh.
Then. So what you could do is you can roll a perception seeing test.
Well, I did try. Perception of 2, so 5, 8, 10, 12. Not
12. Okay. So as you're sort of like looking around, you do see just off to your side there's a slightly higher outcrop of rock that you could probably make it to quite easily, and you sort of start climbing towards it and sort of making your way up. It takes you a little bit of time, and as you sort of like are looking out from this rock, you do see it gives you a much better perspective actually from down on the ground where you were looking at those slabs of rock, sort of trying to get to the edge and see where the next bit of muddy footprints were. Actually, from up here, you can see the pattern as it goes further into the forest, and you actually get a much better gauge of the direction that they are going. And actually, as they come in towards where you are, they then move back further away, sort of towards the northwest. So they come in from the northeast, and then they sort of move towards the northwest. So actually going into the forest, sort of from your perspective further to the left than you thought. And from where you are, you're pretty confident that you could actually follow the track for memory from a little bit. So you sort of successfully managed to meander your way a little bit further along this path, which takes you to the edge of the forest.
So,
As you get to the...
well, I was just going to say, Tink will probably like extend his arm with his cane and be like, "Gentleman and Mac, it is this way." And then he'll climb back down.
So, he climbs back down and manages to follow the path that he saw to the edge of the forest. And as you get to the edge of the forest, the trees here are, to start with, quite small. Like, this is a very natural forest. Like, it's not sort of like just big trees all of a sudden. It's really sort of starting to grow out and expand from where it is. So there's lots of small coniferous trees to start with. And there's also the evergreen trees that start to crop up. And you can tell the difference because with it being so close to winter, there's a number without their leaves. But then as you get further and further into the forest, more and more start to gather their leaves and their little ferns. And as you're at the edge of the forest, you're sort of looking around at the tracks and you're trying to decide what your next steps are going to be.
Okay, so Gillis wants to sort of look around the forest. Is there any sort of small forest creatures that he could perhaps kill to use as reagents to commune with Rook?
So you're going to talk to the animals. No, you're just going to kill them.
As you
doesn't
sort of
do that,
like,
just kill them.
as you sort of roll a. So we'll go on to Gillis then, or Gillis. Gillis. So I would like you to make a. Well, you've got a choice. What kind of check would you like to do? Because you've got a few.
Find the
that
animals
you could probably
first.
do.
Check for animal murder.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if I can find like a carcass or something, I haven't got to be the
Okay.
one killing it, but just
So
the
that's
act
what you're
of
after. You're
putting
sort of
something
after.
back into the ground is where he gets his power from.
Okay. I would say you could do a perception tracking.
Okay.
I think that would be one that you could do.
Yeah, sure. So, perception is 2 on my dice roller. That's my third 10 in a row, so 12 total.
You sure you're not just like
Wow.
refreshing that page?
No, the dice do keep changing,
So-
they just keep cycling round.
So as you sort of do this, you have a little look around, and you're quite attuned to sort of the small tracks of small woodland creatures, and you do notice that there's just off to the side where you're at, there's a little rabbit run. Where the sort of the foliage on the ground is sort of like slightly apart and slightly sort of arched in certain places. You know, this looks like it's a common rabbit run, and you follow it for a very small amount of time, and actually you get a little bit further down and you do find a rabbit, and there's been a little bit of a scuffle, and sort of the rabbit sort of half eaten out by what looks like some sort of other creature that just would hunt rabbits. So there is sort of like this small rabbit carcass just along the side from where you were walking.
Okay, so using my sort of Briar Druid rituals, I'm just going to dig a small sort of shallow grave for the carcass, reach into one of my pouches on my belt kit, and just put some sort of like seeds on it. It's like more of just like oak seeds, things like that, because you've always got to give back with these rituals. Cover it up, always murmuring a prayer to the Great Lord Rook. And I want to use this sort of ritual to commune with him and ask the land, essentially, to track for me. Is there any sort of direction that I can glean from the land rather than trying to track
From
myself?
yourself.
That's not my bag.
Just points you in the direction you need to go.
So,
It's like one of those sticks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a divining rod.
The trees talk. The trees are like, yeah, he's that way, mate.
Happy, if the group's happy, we can take this as another roll.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
He's looking
I would
for an
like
erection.
you to make a willpower faith check, please.
Willpower,
Ooh.
fate.
Faith.
Oh, faith.
As you try and commune.
It's a
your-
10, isn't it? Oh.
It's a 3. And my willpower is 3, so 6.
3. Okay, so 6. Okay.
No erection for you, Jay. No erection.
Yeah.
So, as you sort of like sat there, you spend a little bit of time. So everybody else, like,
Jedi.
you know, Gillis sort of went, "I've got this. I've got this. And he sort of takes you off to one side, and he sort of starts doing this little ritual with this rabbit, and then he sits there for a long time, just like waiting and waiting. And the sun is starting to sort of move through the sky, and you're still waiting and waiting. And Gillis, you're just not getting anything right now.
I'm just going to lean over and go, so it happens to the best of us, mate. Don't worry about it. We'll get you some pills when we get back to the next town.
Yep. Reference magic points, John.
Yes.
I was left on 4 after our last encounter. Have any regenerated over the time we've been wandering?
No, you have, I believe, got to rest in order to get your magic points back. So when you rest, you regain your magic points. I will double check that whilst people decide what their next action is going to be.
Did you say we'd lost the tracks?
Okay.
You haven't lost the tracks. You sort of moved off to one side just to follow these the rabbit, so you could go back towards where you were.
I mean, the Tink kind of says, "Gentlemen, we were having much more luck following the tracks themselves rather than burying small animals. Perhaps we should continue."
I have actually got to finish the ritual, which is I cast regrowth on the gravesite, which turns the seeds into saplings.
Yeah. So as soon as
Undead
like
rabbit.
you know the little bit of so
No, it just uses
Did
the
it?
carcass
Nice.
as fuel.
So as you sort of like start to leave, you just suddenly see these sort of tree saplings just start to grow out the ground, like almost just before your eyes, and they're just there, little saplings.
Very
I'm going to lean in and go, at least we got a rise out of something, Jay. Gillis, sorry.
Gillis.
Gillis.
I'll say, sorry guys, the land doesn't want to commune with me
Is
here.
it like Jumanji?
It's unaware of our rituals.
The speed at which those plants grew was like something out of Jumanji. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, then the guy with the pit helmet comes out the blunderbuss in a minute.
What?
So what's the next move going to be? So you're back onto the sort of tracks.
I think just keep following him. I think that seems to be leading us the best way.
Mac, are you getting any better sense of where Jeremy is?
Takes a deep breath. Jeremy!
There goes our stealth.
Is that your check? I think that's it. Maybe.
Yep.
Are you just going to shout for Jeremy? Is that your
Yep.
check? That is your check. Okay. I would like you to make a communication check.
All pretense of stealth out the window.
Oh.
Here comes the 18. Come on, Rob.
Well, that wasn't terrible. 10
10. Okay. So
with a double 2. If that helps.
oh, that does give you a stunt point. So you get an exploration stunt point if you would like to use it. So you
I
can-
definitely would like to use it. Yes.
I think there's one that allows you to add one to your roll.
So
or
my
base of links,
triple
you
one,
can
is
have-
that still a stunt
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, only if you pass the test. So
Right.
that tells
Yeah, I
you
wasn't gonna do
that he's passed the test. So, in answer to your question, Jay, about what you can do with magic, so you regain your magic points through meditation and sleep. So
Okay.
what you have to do is, I'll say, because you spent an hour trying to commune with your god, that will count as meditation. So you get
Right.
back 1d6 plus your willpower of magic points.
Alright, so it's 3 plus... Oh, jeez, got a lot of dice. Here we go.
And then if you were able to rest for 8 hours, you get them all back. So
Cool.
that's how your magic
So,
points work.
I got 6 back, spent 4 doing the regrowth spell.
Yep.
Leaves me 4 total. Cool.
Cool. What have you decided to do, Mac?
Yeah, none of them are too useful. I'll use advantageous positioning. If there's a better position, I can listen from.
Okay, so what I would say is that as you sort of make this call out, you sort of like, you listen for the echo, and you hear it echo back to you. Jeremy! 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 And you hear it sort of bouncing off, and you sort of like look up and you climb up a tree nearby, and you sort of listen again, and you shout one more time, and you hear it back.
Jeremy!
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 You hear it shouting. And it sort of
Does it sound
gives you
like
some
really like?
sense that,
Sobbing.
you know, and you feel in your soul that it's giving you something to follow.
He didn't say anything, people. I'm
Biggest
very
soul we've
worried
ever
about
seen.
Jeremy.
But you feel like the sound, the echoes were giving you a direction.
Oh. But I feel that they were giving me... The echoes were giving me a direction. We should follow the echoes. So we need to go that way, and then back again, and then that way, and then back again.
So, sort of, you find yourself following Mac as he's sort of moving from his echo to echo to echo. It takes some time, but you sort of manage to go about a few hundred metres, but at the end of this few hundred metres, you suddenly come across a patch where the rocks disappear and there's mud. And once more, there are tracks that you can follow within the mud. And you sort of start to follow them deeper into the wood.
Oh, do we have lanterns?
As you do so, you sort of start to look around, and the sun is starting to set. The sky is becoming a little bit more orange.
I would guess at this. Does Tink have any means of illuminating things? Because he doesn't have any dark vision like some of you guys.
Does he have any means? Well, I would assume that he's got a little pack with him. Does he have anything that gives him light in that pack?
I don't know. I don't even know if he has like night vision or anything. I never wrote that.
Maybe
in.
he doesn't even have a pack. You guys set out into the woods with no...
I would think he would have a small
Torches.
backpack, some sort of stylish, maybe like a saddlebag type
he
thing.
would.
Because he's
I
not
would
an
say,
idiot.
I would say
Isn't
for,
there like a
for the
basic goods
majority of
thing we
you-
started with?
Yeah, so
Like your
you
travelling
have
pack.
basically all got a backpack and a water skin filled with water. What I'll also say is, as just generic adventurers, you do have I would say Tink would have a lantern, an oil lantern, in his, and you probably have some form of light if you wish to carry that. Other than that, you maybe have like a small amount of rations in there, but again, not very much, just enough for you to be on the road. You're sort of not the strapped adventurers of I've got everything in my rucksack. Aha! Here is my Stanley knife that I need. So you have got pretty much the bare bones. You've got the weapons that you come with and the bags that you've got. I don't think you've even got a tent with you unless somebody has one.
I can make one.
Out of that cloak.
No, I just grow trees out of the ground.
It'll only take 2
Sorry,
hours.
John, did you say the sun was setting? Or
It's sort of like it's not setting, but you know how like winter sunsets are really long.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the sky is starting to turn orange. So you reckon at this time you've probably got a little bit of light left, and the dusks tend to be quite long, but it is getting closer to night.
we it may be pertinent for us to maybe pitch up around here and rest up. We've been going for so long now, guys, that we're probably a bit fatigued. We have some tracks
You are
here.
starting to feel.
We have some tracks here in the ground. If this is going to happen like it has on previous nights, maybe pitching up around this area and waiting for the culprits to head back through this area might be a better way of tracking them back to where they came from.
It's a good idea. I love a good ambush.
And Tink kind of mulls it
Good.
over.
Mac is a bit tired.
Yeah, Tink's kind of mulling it over and then sort of relents. Like, unlike you, I do not require sustenance or rest. However, this does seem the most appropriate course of action at this juncture.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what are you? How are you going to set up camp? What are you going to do?
Well, we're not going to turn any lights on, I'll tell you that right now, because that'll give our position away. But we're going to... So, I guess this... Can you describe a bit of the area that we're in and the tracks that we've seen on the ground?
Right now, you're sort of following this. It's still quite light. You're sort of looking around. Just to your sort of left is where you're following the track. There's sort of a larger spire, rocky outcrop just to your side. So like one of those big towers that sort of just seem to erupt out the ground. Now that you're a bit closer and you can see them, it's like just a triangular bit of rock that just sort of like erupts out the ground like a sort of a tooth, like a sharp incisor tooth. The forest's a little bit more dense around here. There's sort of like, and the trees are much more evergreen, and there's sort of like patches of mud, little rocks, rocks, bits where the rocks give cover. So there's all sorts of different things. It's sort of like a rocky forest.
Maybe we should take shelter in the kind of smaller rocky sections that provide some sort of cover.
Thinking outside of character here, is it worth setting some traps or something to alert us? Whether that's like a tripwire with like, you know, that makes some noise, doesn't actually have to kill anyone. Like,
I don't carry any such things on me or have that
Jay's
skill set,
needed.
but
Yeah, I've got about 4 claymores in my backpack that we mentioned earlier.
are those the feather
towards enemy.
claymores that just tickle them or something?
Yeah, just fire snails.
Yeah, I wonder if we should fashion some sort of early warning system. Because Tink will be alright, because he can he can basically stand somewhere out of sight and just observe.
Yeah, but you can't see.
I mean, Mac has low light vision, right? Doesn't someone else have decent?
So do I.
I can see.
Yeah.
You still so with Tink, because I know you took some hits last time round. If you want to regain your hit points, you still have to shut down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do.
That's the way you can heal.
Yeah, he might have to, I think, because he actually took some quite big hits.
So I think we need to like just
Rotate and watch.
maybe use the rocky. Let's use the rocky outcrop kind of area, not the big spire, but the kind of like rockier sections where we can hide amongst the
Still need
debris.
an early warning system, because if we're taking shifts, what if the person on shift falls asleep? I say we fashion something somehow. Could I, as Tink, like jury rig something?
Yes, you could have a go at fashioning something.
Okay, I'll make some sort of trip wire that's maybe attached to a load of loose sticks and rocks that would, you know, make a lot of noise if something was to...
An audible
Right,
sound.
so being a tailor, you're always somewhere with a ball of
Yeah.
string. So, you know, or a ball of like thread that you've got. So you sort of like try and fashion something out of it. So, I would say make an either intelligence check or dexterity.
well, I've got an intelligence of 2, my dex is only 1, so I'm going to go with the intelligence.
Yeah, engineering. That's good.
Well, yeah, I don't have any focus in that, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Not great.
12. Okay, so you fashion something. You sort of like you spend a bit of time, spend sort of about an hour or so, just like sort of making this sort of. You know, you just put it out sort of on the little approach to the little sort of rocky cover that you found, and sort of as you do so, you're pretty happy with the job.
Is that
you
across
made,
the
and
track?
sort of,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of like across the track, and sort of like you furnished it so that it also sort of covers a little bit of the cover up to where you are going to be sort of hidden off to one side. But you know, you feel pretty comfortable with the choice of your location and various other, and sort of where you've put things.
Gentlemen,
And sort of you
I've
start to.
set an early warning system for us.
Okay, well done. I'm used to living in the forest, so I can make a sort of easy A-frame lean-to for the guys to kip in. It's not much of a challenge.
Yeah,
It won't be
you
comfortable,
easily just
but it's kip.
Okay, you sort of have made this little makeshift camp, and I'll say the amount of time it sort of takes you to do so. The dusk has started to settle in, and you're sort of just sat round under this rock as the temperature starts to drop, and you sort of start to feel a little bit cold.
I think Tink's just going to put himself on shutdown, like in the kind of lee of like a tree, so that he's kind of leaning against the tree.
Yeah, I think we need to come up with a sort of a stag list of who's going on when. I mean, Tink needs to heal. I need to regenerate some
I don't mind
magic
taking the
points.
first
So
watch.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just do watches. It's nice and easy way of doing it. So we'll sort of rotate through watches, and we'll sort of you just pick which order you'd like to go in. So if Tink wants to go first, he can go first. So you sort of start to get some decent rest, and you sort of like, you know, you sort of find a spot, and you know, Gillis, you're fine under your nice warm coat, and actually this sort of rock cover is giving you a nice bit of shelter from the wind, but it's a little bit brisk out there. It's not full on winter yet, but it's getting there. You certainly know you're outside and it's cold and you're rocking from one side to the other. About half an hour into your watch, Tink, it starts to rain. Sort of, you get this tink, tink, tink noise. It sort of comes off your metallic sort of physique. I would like you just to make a perception check.
At this point, he's going to throw on his poncho that he has as well, so that his clothes don't get completely ruined. Perception, yeah? Ooh, that's a bit better.
Yeah.
6, 11, 12, plus... what was that? Sorry, perception, plus 2, 14.
Just perception, yeah. Okay, so you sort of like looking out. Yeah, there's nothing out there. And sort of the rest of your sort of watch passes without issue.
Okay.
Who's up next? Who are you going to wake up?
Did we actually set an order before everyone buggered off to sleep?
Gillis was demanded he gets a full 8 hours.
So
you get to decide, Lee. You got to wake someone.
He's going to wake Gillis up because he he doesn't believe in shirkers.
Gillis is like, nope, I'm not getting up. Go away. And just pulls his cloak further over his head.
And like at this point, Tink like reaches in and just like kind of grabs him and just like lifts him and stands him up. It is your watch, my friend.
I get it. Gillis like, this is massively inappropriate. Wake one of the other ones up. They love this shit. This is my time to sleep and regenerate. You'll be sorry tomorrow when you're asking me, oh, can you do a spell, Gillis? Well, I can't, can I? Because I haven't slept. You see, Telly's probably not a good waker-upper.
Tink is just like completely unfazed. It is your shift on the watch.
You Orions, all the same. You don't have a concept of sleep. You don't know what it does for us organic beings. You just, oh yeah, just shut down, I'll go. Anyway, forget it, I'm awake now. You've ruined everything. I'll go stand on the watch. You go and do your thing you need to do, and I'll just go and stare into the abyss. Bye, Tink.
And Tink is actually already shut down. He's just standing there, like stood immobile at this point. Whatever Gillis said, like just went on deaf ears. Like,
awesome.
Okay.
So, do you want to roll? So as you sort of like grumpily sort of sat out there, the rain
sat
sort
there,
of, almost
over,
to annoy you more. Like the rain almost just gets a little bit harder for the first part of your shift.
Not even harder,
I would
just
like
sideways.
Yeah. I would like you to roll a perception check.
Okay, let's get my rolly out.
you see me rolling.
Can't unlock my phone because I've got Vicks all over my hands. Jesus! 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
At least you rolled a double, right?
Oh, add my perception of 2. Add my perception of 2, so a total of 5.
Cool. Okay.
This is what happens when you wake someone up early. Karma. 7 horses just breeze past me.
Okay, so your shift passes without incident. Okay, who are you going to wake up, Gillis?
Okay, I think that I'm pretty depressed that the fact I got woke up really early. So I probably would have regenerated half my magic points instead of the full amount.
I'm going to say because as long as the rest goes completely unhindered, you'll get yours back.
Okay.
So.
Okay, no worries. In that case, I'm sort of in a proper grump, and I'm kind of starting to blame Mac that we're even here. So I'm going to give him a boot.
Okay, get a boot, Mac.
Oh, did I do it? Ah, Gillis. Did you find them?
Mac, I've not got time for this. I'm going back to bed. You're on stag.
Okay. He looks about for a deer.
I would like you to make a perception searching test. As you sort of like, he starts to walk out and starts to go and look for deer tracks.
Oh, that was quite good. 11, 12, 14. I don't think I got any perception. 14. 15.
15. Okay. So as you go out and you're searching for these deer, and you're sort of like looking out and sort of searching around, you sort of make your way a little bit away from the group. And as you sort of like turn around and have a little look, you do see something just watching. There's two eyes just staring at you from a nearby bush, just like carefully watching.
I very quietly get out my crossbow
Okay.
and load a bolt into it.
Okay. And it's
I'm
sort of
gonna-
like just looking at you, and you sort of...
How high are they up? Are they like?
It's lying down in this sort of bush just off to one side, and all you can see right now is you just see these pair of eyes. What you also see is you just see a slightly longer nose just like looking up at you.
Just don't shoot Jeremy.
As you get
It's Jeremy.
a little bit closer. It's just there. You just see the sort of slightly longer face.
Do I recognise the sort of thing?
From this
at all?
distance, you can't quite make it out. It was almost like the moonlight just caught like some glints across the eyes that sort of alerted you to it being there.
Alright. I'm going to creep towards it.
Okay. Roll a stealth check.
I love how he's not waking us up for this. He's just headed up.
It could be Jeremy.
13.
13.
No, plus
Back
4,
got
13
this.
plus 4, so
Oh
17.
Oh my god, he's
17.
like
Okay,
got
so he's
crazy
sort of like-
stealth.
He's a massive orc, but he's also rather stealthy. So what you notice is you get a little bit closer, you sort of like meander around. It's not looking at you, it's looking towards the camp. It hasn't seen you, but as you get closer, what you do see is you see sort of its pointed ears and its long nose with sharp fangs just hanging down and sort of almost expectantly just waiting for its next meal.
Oh, it's a
It is-
wolf, isn't it?
It is a
Right.
wolf.
Do you speak
I
wolf?
will. I don't, but.
My crossbow does.
Silver bolts.
Does he
hopefully.
shoot it? No. He's just. Yeah, okay, he's just going to shoot it.
Okay, it's going to shoot the wolf. Okay.
Yeah.
So, roll to... Because it has no idea you are there. So this is a rule that I like to play, which is you've got him dead to rights. So what this means is it means if you deal any damage whatsoever to it, it is dead.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. This rule, just so you know, this rule does also occasionally apply to you as well. However, for you, obviously, it won't kill you. It will just take you out the fight.
No. Ooh, so that's 10 with a. 10.
10. That, I believe, does hit just. Yeah, just hits.
Just a glancing blow.
But a fatal glancing blow.
So roll your damage, because you've got to still beat its defense.
Glancing
Alright.
blow to the like temporal lobe.
I think the crossbow's 2d6 plus 1.
Yeah. Yeah, 8.
8. Okay, so there's this whack noise as you release the bolt from the crossbow, and it smacks into the side of the head of this wolf that's to the side, and it sort of yelps as it falls down to one side. As it does so and yelps down, you do hear some more running, and you hear a "Ow!" from nearby. As another wolf just like circles round towards the one that it was there, and it's sort of just like looking round at the floor, and it's like looking up and around. I would like you to make a stealth check, please.
15.
Would that howl would have alerted us?
Yes, you're all awake
Okay.
now. You would have all. Well, actually, yeah, I'll say. Yes, it probably would have woken you up because it's pretty nearby. So yes, you're all awake.
Would I have
say.
recovered any health
Certainly.
at this point?
So, for the moment, because we're, 3 shifts in, I'd say you would have got a short breather, which is 5 plus your constitution plus your level.
I'm level 1, so it's 7. I've recovered some.
Gillis shoots up in his A-frame and is like, "You have got to be kidding me."
So so at the moment, this wolf is like looking around at the area, and it doesn't seem to pick up on you, Mac, and it's just there, and it's poking its nose into the other wolf, just like moving it, and the wolf's not moving.
I'm gonna load another bolt as quietly as I can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say you managed to do that. I'm going to say, for the purpose of this, make one more stealth check.
Ooh, that's not good. Okay, 6 plus 4, so 10.
Still beat me. So you managed to load it in. This wolf is just there, nosing at the
And I'll shoot him.
Okay, roll to hit.
Matt's some like stealth assassin.
Yeah, right. It's actually like...
They're getting worse. 5, 6, 7, 8. But I did get a double 2.
Oh, 8 does not hit, however.
Damn it.
Just
So
another bolt thuds
you
into
do
the dead wolf, right?
So, as you do this, whack, the bolt flies in, and I'll take that. Yeah, smack straight into the body of the wolf. The wolf just turns up, looks at you, bares back its teeth. I would like everybody to roll initiative.
Initiative.
Initiative is... Sorry, you're going to have to...
3d6 plus your dexterity.
12.
Yeah, 12 for me as well.
So
14.
4?
Yeah, but dexterity.
So's mine.
Jay, is that another triple
so Jay-
one?
Jay
Yeah.
got 4.
You want to reload that
Jay
out,
got
mate.
4.
It only has 10 and 1. That's the only numbers it rolls.
So we had 15 to 10.
Yeah, 12.
12.
Oh, it turns out it's a
so Mac-
screenshot.
Mac on 12. So Tink
12,
on
yeah.
12 as well. Adam, what did
14.
Galen get? 14.
Oh, he's on the
No,
ball.
so Galen. 14.
I'm
okay.
well rested, right? I've had a nice, like, decent few hours.
Yeah, you haven't even
sleep.
been woken up.
Gonna
yet.
Hadouken this wolf out of existence.
I don't have any magic
Okay.
flaming spells, Lee.
Order of
So,
the Fire, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't. I'm still like a low level. Like I've not learnt those powers yet.
Can you light a candle by
This significant acts of faith enable me to do that kind of stuff. I just have not done anything.
Now's probably a good time to have some faith when we're being accosted by wolves at night.
Now's a good time to have
So-
a maul. Just hit him in the head with it.
As a new follow-up to Dances with Wolves.
Accosted by wolves.
So, as you are aware, so Galen, you're up first. You're aware of where the howl came from. It's not massively far away from where you are. It's probably about, I'd say, 2 goes worth of running to get there. So that's about how far away you are, doing Theatre of the Mind.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 goes of running away from the camp is where sort of Mac had wandered
Okay.
to. So that's how far you're away. So Galen, you are up first.
2 moves of running, right? So that's run is a major action.
Yes.
But I can do 2 minors as well, right?
Yes, you can.
I guess at this point, because I've just been... Like, I don't actually know where Galen is, though. Oh, sorry, I don't know where... Galen's me. I don't know where Mac is, do I? Because he's wandered
No,
off.
you don't. You heard the howl.
The
and
howl.
You know it's about... You can very easily pinpoint. You sort of like bolt upright, and you can sort of tell what direction it's in. And just sort of for purposes of knowing how far away it was, you reckon it's about sort of a little run, but it's not far at all.
Cool. So I think I'm just gonna... Well, I'll run and I'll prepare my weapon as well. I'm going to draw my weapon,
Okay.
draw them all, get it ready, and start moving in that direction. I don't think I'm going to do a double run, but I'll do 1 run in that direction.
Okay, cool. So you managed to get sort of halfway towards where Mac is, and Mac, it's now over to you. You're being stared down by this wolf who is right in front of you and sort of ready to pounce.
Alright, I'm just going to bellow at it, try and scare it off.
Okay, roll an intimidation check.
Ooh, good. Okay, that's 18 with a double 3.
What? Okay, cool. So you roar at this wolf, and despite the wolf like baring its fangs at you, sort of as clear as day, it sort of like looks at you and then looks at the body below, and then starts to pick it up and sort of starts to drag sort of the other wolf away, and it's sort of like trying to drag it with it, and it sort of just seems to be staying back from you and just sort of moving away and pulling back.
Alright, if he's going, I'm going to assume that I was successful then, and I'm going to go head back towards the camp then.
Okay, you make your way back towards the camp. Tink, what are you going to do?
So we're not okay. So at this point, Tink is going to be managing his gear a little bit. So he pulls out a little tea light from a pocket, and he kind of clicks his fingers, which makes a bit of a spark and lights it. And then he kind of raises it up to the side of his head, and a little compartment opens up in his temple, and he slots this tea light in. And what that does is the light from the candle is amplified through his eye lenses, and they basically become like torch beams. So he's kind of looking around a little bit.
So as you do that, you sort of very quickly you get this big shadow of an orc just off to one side, just like you can sort of see exactly where Mac is. He's sort of not that far, about maybe 50 metres or so, just off to one side.
I guess I can't really see a lot. I suppose he'll kind of... Can I look around and see if there are any other wolves? You know, presumably they travel in packs, right? So it's going to be more than two.
Well, as you're sort of like looking around, you can't seem to see anything. Like you can't even see where the howl came from or what it was.
I'm going to make my way towards Mac. And sort of say, Orc, what did you see?
Don't worry, there were wolves, but I have scared them off.
All of them?
Okay.
Yeah, all 2 of them. Well, I killed one of them, so he's probably not scared anymore. The other one was pretty
Does
scared.
that not leave us at risk of reprisal?
I don't think wolves think like that.
Curious. I'm not very au fait with the lupine.
Yeah, we've got the wolf whisperer here, so yeah, surely we're going to be safe. I roll my eyes because I obviously still haven't slept.
You're like a proper emo.
Edgelord.
Okay. So, as you sort of have this little conversation, sort of behind you, this sort of galloping wolf just appears and just jumps up towards Mac's back. And... Oh, I'm not rolling well today. So as it jumps up onto your back, sort of to
No, I'm not
claw
rolling
at
well
you,
today.
it sort of comes up and sort of digs its claws into the side of your shoulder, and as you feel the instant pain, you just shrug it off, and this wolf just like knocks down to the ground and just sort of starts growling and sort of menacingly baring its teeth in your general direction. It then sort of like looks up and sees the other people up in the camp, and it sort of starts to circle out around and back towards where it came from, and it sort of it starts to try and disappear off into the shadows.
Bad dog.
Up next is Gillis.
Yeah, so Gillis has obviously seen this. It's not his first encounter with wolves, having lived in a forest most of his life. How far away did Galen get? Is he overtaken where Mac was coming back?
So,
gonna blow it.
Galen is about, I'd say... So if we were to think about the scenario right now, we've got Mac is just out the side, sort of pretty much making his way back. He's got to where Galen is, and Galen's just holding this maul, sort of ready to go. And sort of behind that, sort of further back at the camp, there's just Tink, like a lighthouse, just like looking around, sort of in the general area. So that's where you're at right now, and you're sort of just stood in the camp with all this going on.
Okay, I've got eyes on that wolf that's trying to back away, or did it make it into the shadows?
Roll a perception check.
Roll a perception check.
Because you're having to have a look for it. Because it did try and hide.
Oh, Lord! Lord! I got 17!
Wow. Yep, you see it. So what it's doing is
But those stun points.
it's circled back round, and sort of like you focus, like even in the dark, you like catch a glimpse using Tink's light, and you sort of poke Tink for a moment, and he sort of like looks over in the direction of where
Grab his
the
head.
wolf is. And as you do so, you see that this wolf is circling back round, and what you also see with a perception check like that is you see a couple of pups just behind it, just as it's shielding these pups.
Okay. So we just killed the dad.
Oops.
Yeah, okay. What I'm going to try and do is just say to the guys, like, because, yeah, do quite enjoy some nature, being a druid.
Throw at it.
There's no reason to kill these. Nah, there's no reason to kill these. Winter's coming. I think we've done enough damage to this family of wolves. I sort of try and put the brakes on everyone, like, guys, stop. It's defended its turf. We can't do this. Like, Gillis is more than happy to kill people, but when it comes to nature, he's got a different sort of moral compass. I think I can get us out of here without having to fight this wolf. I can actually make us kind of invisible in a forest. I think we can get out of here with no further contact.
Even with my light source.
No, Tink, you're going to have to turn that off, I'm afraid, mate. We'll guide you out. I've got dark vision.
Very well.
Okay, so I'm going to try and do my sort of forest blend. We're all on this. I can put it on 3 people because I've got willpower 3. That makes us basically blend into the forest. And the way the spell works, for future reference. Yeah, so enemies, if they want to see us, need to pass a successful perception seeing test versus the power of the spell. So let's see if I pull it off first. This could be an absolute ruse.
It's 3.
No, it's what's my int, isn't it, for spells? So 18 this time.
Nice.
So the 4 of us will blend into the forest. Hopefully, I mean, it says it's seeing. And knowing wolves hunt by smell and hearing, I'm not sure how that's going to stagger.
What difficulty?
Oh, difficulty was 11. I know 18, so
Okay.
spell power is
18,
what?
surely.
Is it? Is it what you backed out
Or
on?
does it? What's it
Well,
say?
well,
It just says a seeing test, is it? I'll just have a quick.
Yeah,
gander
perception
myself.
seeing to
Get
have
me
a look at
stumps
us. I
off
mean,
on that,
obviously,
Okay. I
I
would
did
I'd say, you know, for that
Neither
role,
did I.
like you step away and almost for that moment, it's sort of you're watching the wolf, and as you're doing this and casting this and blending you in, and you sort of move away from the location you're currently at, you sort of notice that the wolf sort of just goes back to the other wolf and sort of hopefully sort of nudging it, and sort of you can see the 2 pups as you make your way sort of also come up, and they're all nudging at this wolf that's just lifeless on one side, and you sort of make your way along in the forest. You very quickly make your way back to the tracks that you had sort of been following the previous night. So it's now roughly, you look up in the sky again, and it's a beautifully clear night, and you can see that the moon is sort of quite a way along its journey. I mean, you feel sort of like you've had some rest. You haven't had a full rest. You're all a bit tired, and all a little bit exhausted. And I'm going to say, for the purposes of this, that you've all only had a breather rather than a full rest. So that you've already regained your hit points for that, which was 5 plus your constitution plus your level, which is still 1 at the moment. And then you, Jay, have managed to meditate, so you get a d6 plus your willpower back of magic points. And you're all feeling a little bit exhausted, which means that all of you are going to be at -1 to all your rolls from this point onwards for the moment, until you get some decent rest, because you've been on the go for pretty much well over 24 hours now.
Of course, yeah, we ran through the
so
night, didn't we?
Yeah, so you've sort of like you've had a couple of power naps, but you're starting to struggle a little bit. Back onto the tracking, unless you're going to try and find another spot to hunker down for a little bit more
Keep
sleep.
tracking, I think. I think we might as well now we're up.
Okay, so those of you with dark vision, you can sort of follow the tracks that you're on because the muddy tracks are there. Those of you who can't see in the dark, this is fun. It's dark. It's really dark.
It's only me, I think, who can't see. I think everyone else is alright, aren't they?
I can't see.
Galen's a
No.
human.
Who I now found out doesn't have any, like, magical powers. Call
I
yourself
can heal
cultist.
people. I've got healing. Cold. I'm not cold. Sleep.
It's a cult.
Don't say that about the
anything
Order of the Eternal
anything
Flame.
order of the something is usually a cult in disguise.
Adam, you're frozen, by the way. Moving
It's not frozen
onwards.
to me.
Who would like to make a tracking test then for this bit here?
I'm on a roll. I'll have a go.
It's a 3.
Go on then.
Here comes the 111.
Oh, I've had enough of them today. It can't happen again.
What is it?
111.
4. Nice. Good roll.
I do,
So-
however, get 2 stun points.
Well, you got to
Got a
succeed
pass
to
the
use them,
test.
mate.
You got to succeed. So
There wasn't a 3
you
though.
sort of- you start to make your way through the forest, and you're sort of following it. You sort of like it's dark. You follow the tracks for a bit. You come onto a rocky part. You find some more tracks. You follow it again. Find some more tracks. And the moon starts moving through the sky, and then sort of there's a moment where you pause and you go, "We've been here before. We've been here before." And you sort of just look up and you realise that
There are a
you've-
bunch of
one of
wolves.
those sort of spired rocks. You've just walked around it.
Gillis just sort of like takes his headdress off, smears his like weird like emo hair back, and is like, "Tink, this is what happens when you wake me up. Way before I'm meant to be woken up. I could have had this, we could be out of here, but no, you had to wake me up." And he gets his headdress back on, just kicks a bit of mud out of the way. He's just absolutely fuming. Doesn't do well with exhaustion or sleep depth.
Tink like
So-
looks
so
at him
this-
blankly, like
So at this point, I'm just gonna, put my head in my hands and I just can't deal with this anymore. So I'm gonna start like praying to the god of flame. Be like,
Okay.
"Can you guide me?
just bring the sun up early.
Guide me. Show
Courage,
me a
courage.
show me a
Take
sign.
this
Where
cup
we-
of suffering from me.
where must we
Nice.
go?"
Okay, roll a willpower faith test.
And this is at -1, right?
Yeah, -1.
Willpower.
tired.
Faith.
Your eyes are heavy. Oh.
Palms are sweaty.
6,
mom's
5, and a
spaghetti.
4. So
6, 5, and a 4.
yeah,
Nice.
plus 1 because I got willpower too. So
Yeah.
6, 6, and a 4. So that's 12, 16.
16. Ooh. Ooh.
Sunlight pierces the canopy as the sun rises prematurely.
Nice. So as you sort of like you sort of like have this moment, and you just like go right, and you start to follow the tracks one more, and you just sort of like fervently like, right, okay, I've got this. This is the right one. You start following the track that Gillis had previously been following, but at this particular tree, you go left rather than right, and you follow this tree. And at this point, you also notice that the tracks have become softer and lighter, almost as if the people on horseback have come off their horses and are walking. You follow it, and you feel like you're making some really good progress. You get closer and closer, and you start to notice that there are other tracks just around the forest, just here and there, like almost little pathways. You start to notice the odd tree that's been felled rather than sort of just there, like you just see these trees that have been cut, seemingly, which is strange for the middle of the forest. Why is there a cut down tree in the middle of the forest? You feel like you're getting somewhere. It's still dark, and still a little time till sunrise you get, but the moon is starting to make its journey to behind the horizon. What would you like to do?
I guess we continue on stealthily, I would assume. We're clearly getting close.
Just want to check the tree. Was it cut down or has it been...
Okay, roll an investigation check. So that would be perception. I'm going to say for this. Very much this is perception, seeing, I would say.
So I've got
Or
13.
touching. 13, yeah.
10 more than ever
you sort
usually
of
get.
Get a -1 on that.
You
check.
put your hands on it. You have a look. Yeah, and the
You've got a
-1.
-1 to that as well.
But-
Oh, perception's
12.
2 then. Yeah, 12.
12, yeah. So there's still more than enough to look at it and this was done with an axe.
Okay, okay, so maybe people need firewood. There might be a camp nearby. There's the only reason to cut a tree down. It's not blocking any sight lines or anything. Is there any sort of tracks as to...
Roll.
Is the tree still there? Has it just been cut down or has it been...
No, the
been
tree's
harvested
gone.
off
There's
it?
no tree. There's just chopped down tree. It's just a
Right.
stump. It's just very
Oh,
random.
it'd be very
rather than
obvious tracks then if someone had to drag this tree away, or
Yeah.
it'd take a good team of guys to break it down to carryable amounts.
Okay, so as you sort of look down at the ground, you do see a large track, and you see an area where there's just wood chippings on the floor. Clearly, they've cut it into smaller pieces and moved it. As you sort of follow this track, I would like you to all make a stealth check, and this is your final check.
Stealth is on dexterity, yeah?
Yeah, dexterity stealth.
Okay, fine. 10. That's including the -1.
13.
10,
I could blame this
13,
in the forest some more.
10,
Right, slightly.
13.
13,
8.
8.
Come on, edgelord.
Ooh.
Loving these single digits.
Ooh, so 8, 13, 10. Right.
Yeah, the blend in the
So-
forest thing only lasts for an encounter, so it would have wore off from last
That's
time.
fine. So that is just as a group what you needed.
Ooh.
And that gets you your final point to pass the advanced test as well. So, as you sort of make your way around, you sort of start to follow these trees and sort of these areas where sort of this woodland has been cultivated. And as you sort of come round this sort of slightly denser part of wood, suddenly it opens up. Ooh, pumped out my ear. It suddenly opens up a little bit. There seems to be some sort of small walled encampment just in the centre of the woods. As you sort of look a little bit closer, those of you with dark vision, what you can see is you can sort of see this small palisade wall just around the outside of it. On the inside, you can sort of see what looks like the top of 2 hulls of boats, upside down. And from here, you can just see there's a lone guard just stood at the entrance, looking around. Just there. And at this moment, you sort of see this sort of where there's this gateway, another man just walks out, looks around, and then nods at the other one, who then heads back inside.
Is it light enough now for everyone to be able to see?
I'd say at this time, so the sun is starting to rise, you can just sort of see the dawn sunlight coming around. So those of you who have got dark vision, you can see quite well. And Mac, you've got dark vision, haven't you?
Yeah.
I would like you to make a perception check, please.
7.
7. Okay, you don't see anything. You're just apart from what you've already seen. So yeah, there's this
I've
little
got dark
walled
vision, but
encampment.
no dice.
Alright. Can you all see the man?
I don't think Tink can he, at this point?
Tink won't be able to know.
Right.
Can I see it with dark vision?
There's a man guarding and a wall of wood. I think we should sneak up on him and kill him.
Would that not alert the others?
Okay, very astute.
Well, then we will kill them as well.
Would it not be more pertinent to ascertain the strength of their garrison first?
I don't think Matt cares about such petty things.
There's numbers.
Right, we will sneak up, we will kill him, we will look to see how many men come running, and then we will kill them.
These might not be the thieves. Is there any sheep or anything there?
He takes a big breath
Oh
to
shit!
shout for Jeremy again.
Tink is gonna like reach up and try and like muffle this shout.
Okay, let's roll a dexterity acrobatics check, because it's about the most fast thinking one I can think for the moment.
Is it still -1 because of the fatigue? I guess it is, isn't it? Well,
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think this shout's going off.
Oh no, I only got
I only
9.
6.
9, 6. Yeah. so as you reach over with his hand, Mac just lets out this almighty Jeremy from the side, and at this moment you see the man at the gate just like look up and like suddenly seem shocked at what's going on. And
What are
sort
the
of,
chances that guy's called Jeremy?
He just like
He
looks
thinks
up
his
and
mum's
looks around.
calling him.
And what you do hear from inside this little wall encampment is you just hear a
Alright, Mac is loading his crossbow.
okay.
Are we in shooting distance of this man?
I would say that at the moment you're not. You're a little bit far away. Certainly with the light that you've got,
Right.
it would be a hard shot.
Alright, Jeremy's there. Sneaking. Come on.
So I guess at this point, Tink will have to draw his rapier out from his cane. He clearly knows that shit is about to go down, as they say.
Yeah,
So-
Gillis is still groggy from his sleep, pulls out his cudgel, starts patting it in his hand because he's just like, right, let's get this done so I can get some kip.
So, as you all sort of start to draw your weapons and things sort of start to go on, you sort of suddenly see a little bit of a commotion from inside the camp. You know, they've heard this shout, and sort of people are starting to get up. And from where you're at now, like, I would all like you to make a stealth check.
Is this now our war cry, by the way, Jeremy? He's like shout it, scream it as we run into battle. Oh, nice. 6, 11, 12, 14.
So, 14 from Lee,
13.
10.
13.
8 for me.
I'm in
Okay,
double digits,
so-
yes!
The man on the front, he sort of looks round and sort of like, as you're sort of creeping forward, you sort of hear, and you're sort of all getting a little bit closer, you hear this snap and thud as Galen falls over and makes a little bit of noise, and the guard just like looks up in the direction and sort of pulls out a bow and just like holds it up, and as he does so, you sort of hear him just shout out some words that you don't understand. You don't know what they mean. They're not in your tongue. And as he does so, 3 more people with bows just appear and start pointing them in your direction.
Is
What
it
you do
Tink
notice-
protocol droid who knows like
Only
400
two,
languages?
Common tongue and Orcish.
What you do notice though, as you sort of walk forwards, is that the commotion behind, you see children running. Just catch a glimpse of them from one side to the other. Now, to all of you who are from the Aurum coast, that is weird. You know, you instantly, as the sun starts to rise, you see what this man looks like. He's large, well built, and the other men that are sort of there with bows, they all look like Iceborn, but they don't bring their children with them. That never happens. If they raid to kill, to take things. This is strange. Something about this doesn't seem right, and that moment you saw the child run across, that's very strange. What would you like to do?
This does not appear to be a raiding party. This appears to be a settlement.
Was that a Iceborn child, or was it a child they've stolen? You know, they've got a rep.
If they had stolen the child, would they not be caged?
If you cage children, that's up to you. I mean, I don't know.
I am Orion. We do not have children. In the traditional sense.
Okay, so how do you want to go forward? I mean, we're not down for killing kids.
This appears to be
unless, like,
almost a refugee encampment. Could be that the Iceborn raiders have been ousted from their dwelling.
They
So
could be outcasts.
as you're having this conversation, and sort of like this momentary pause, you see these bows trade on you, and you just hear this sort of man shout out, "Stay! Stay! Stay!"
I think he
Just,
believes
like,
we are
pointing
dogs.
at you. And
yeah, so
what would you like
I was
to do?
going to put my cudgel away back into its belt loop.
Are we visible at this point? I'm guessing we are.
Yeah, they know you're there. It's like it's very early morning sun now. Like the sun has started to come up. Like the time has sort of moved on a little bit, and like everybody's in that slightly grey, yellowy.
So I guess Tink will resheath his sword then, yeah. Back into his cane and then just kind of rest on it and look kind of cool in the morning sun, with it glinting off of his bodywork.
Say, Tink, don't look too shiny. These guys will steal you.
So as this is sort of all going on, there's sort of this strange standoff where they're sort of stood holding these bows at you, and you see this big, massive brute of a man just walk out from the front gate. Now, some of you who know a little bit about the Iceborn, there's rumours that they are descended from giants, and well, if so, the blood of a giant flows quite strongly through this man. He has arms as large as small logs, and his armour that he's hastily sort of put on just basically sits with his arms exposed, almost as if to intimidate people who just look upon him. In his hand, just to one side, is this large, two-headed axe. And he just looks up and he goes, "Ah, more to kill! Should kill them!" And as he sort of raises his hand to order the archers to fire, this hand just sort of comes out from behind him and grabs his arm. And this is a tall woman. Plaited blonde hair sort of sat over her shoulder. She's got a strong face, strong cheekbones. There's sort of some strange beauty to it. Her face is sort of adorned with scars of a warrior, and below her bottom lip is a blue tattoo. She has this large fur-lined cloak hanging over her side, and on her hip, this large ornate axe. And on her other hip, a war horn. And you sort of just hear her go, "No." And sort of this big brute of a man just sort of calms at this moment. And she just looks up, and you sort of see them communicate with one another. And so the man walks back inside, and these people, and she sort of like turns to her people and just sort of tells them to lower their bows, seeing that you two have put your weapons away. And she just puts her axe to one side and she calls out and she says, "I am Sachi. Who are you?"
I am Mac, and these are my friends.
Acquaintance, says Tink as he looks up at Mac.
This is Tink,
Colleague.
and this is Galen, and this is Gillis, and you have my sheep.
She sort of looks up and goes, "We have your sheep. Apologies.
Yes.
Please, come, share some drink with us."
That went better than I was expecting.
Mac will look at the others, and if no one stops him, he will put his crossbow away and walk up to her.
Yeah.
So she's there and she goes,
Yeah, okay.
And she looks up, and she sort of looks around at you all, and she sort of almost looks at you with some strange sense of recognition. When she looks at you, Tink, you get the idea that she's seen you before, and the same for Galen and Mac. But her eyes linger longer on Gillis. She just looks at him, looks him up and down, shrugs.
I think she likes you.
And turns back.
It's a skull hat, isn't it?
And walks you into this sort of camp. You are slightly taken aback about how easy this was. And sort of as you look around, you see children running. You see over on the side this makeshift little fenced area with some sheep in it. They've got a small flock, about 10 or so. And you look around and you see these 2 boats just on their sort of with their bottoms sort of shown up, and the sails over the side like makeshift tents. And you see this little campfire in the centre. And there's another individual there. She's a slender woman, black clothing. She's got leather wraps around her hands and a piece of black fabric across her eyes. She's got dark purple paint of some sort, like war paint, above and below her eyes in triangles. She sort of looks at you, looks across all 3 of you. And she sort of walks across to you, and at that moment you notice the staff she used to steady herself. It's made of stone, and at the top this dark, black, metallic, ornate spear tip. It's intricate in its design, it's both beautiful and confusing. It's as if 5 separate blades were interwoven into one pointed tip. And she looks across at the group and goes, Yes, these are the ones I have seen. And she sort of walks over to you, Tink, and puts her hand on your face. Yes, this one. And this one. And this one. And she's sort of looking at you just through her fabric, like she's seeing you with no eyes. And she turns and goes, Yes, they are the ones, Give them food and drink. And that is where we shall stop this episode.
Wow, nice. Sorry, I think the neighbours have started some DIY. Like, right just now, there's like a load of hammering.
It can't be as bad as my snivelling. I'm watching myself on the camera, just getting progressively sicker throughout the whole thing.
So there we go. You have made your way into the camp.
Fantastic.
I've literally emptied 2 bog rolls.
Still recording
of
here,
just
we haven't signed off the episode yet, dude.
People want to know about my snot.
The listeners must know. For the viewers.
But yeah, so well done, folks. So next time round we'll find out what I'm sure all this is about. But yes, well done. You have met the Iceborne Raiders, and Sachi was the one that you found the name of. So yes, we'll find out what that was. But I really enjoyed that.
Yes, thanks very much, John.
Great.
Quick question, fluff question.
Yes.
When we say these people are big, are we talking Mac big?
Yeah, so they are. So some of them are sort of the same size as humans. Like they're sort of humanoid, but this particular one was quite big. Like he was large. So you're talking Mac big. Like they're quite imposing, or at least this one is.
I'm using Mac as a sort of term of scale. How many Macs big is this?
How many Macs high?
There's a dragon. How many Macs dragon?
5 Macs big.
Whoa.
But yeah, awesome stuff, folks. Well done. I hope you enjoyed that, listeners.
Good one.
I hope you'll come back for the next one. So thank you very much, folks. We will catch you in our next episode. It's been a pleasure. So thank you everybody for listening, and thank you guys for playing. That was awesome.
Thank you for running it, John.
Thank you. It's great.
Yeah, cheers, John. Well done.
But yes, so everybody, thank you very much, and we will catch you in the next episode of the Wreckage RPG.
Bye.
See you soon.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our show. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do. On that topic, if you did like the show, please leave us a review to help more people find their way to us. Anyway, we look forward to having you along for the next part of the journey. And just remember the most important question. What would you like to do?